provide another supporting weapon for the infantry, a maneuverable observation post, tactical and gunnery air observation was developed. Tactical air observation for reconnaissance and observation for infantry units from aircraft. Gunnery air observation to adjust fire for artillery and naval units. Normally, air observers are assigned to tactical observation or gunnery observation. However, observers are trained to perform either mission if required. Maneuvering over the battlefield, aerial observers are able to detect and assess the current ground situation and transmit this information directly to commanders concerned. In amphibious warfare particularly, the attacker is at a disadvantage from the standpoint of conventional methods of observation. The defending enemy is in possession of all points of elevation. And in jungle warfare, heavy foliage may make any form of ground observation impractical. A typical plane supplied for air observation is the OY-1, which has good small field characteristics, excellent observer visibility, slow cruising speed, and is relatively easy to maintain. For observation, it is equipped with a high-frequency radio which must net with ground radios operating on air observation nets. The helicopter also has many characteristics considered desirable for air observation. In the initial phases of an amphibious operation, before a landing strip or area is available, air observers fly in high-performance combat-type aircraft. Or air observation may be provided the landing force by specially trained pilots. The types of aircraft may vary so that no specific plane is designated for air observation. As soon as land areas suitable for the operation of light-type observation aircraft are seized and placed in commission, observer teams move ashore to continue assigned missions for infantry and artillery units. Requirements for such areas are not elaborate. If there is sufficient length for the landing approach and takeoff of light aircraft, a roadway, or any fairly firm surface will serve. A typical air observer organization would assign 8 tactical air observers to the G3 section of Corps headquarters, 1 gunnery air observer to Corps artillery headquarters, and 2 gunnery air observers to each battalion. At the division level, G3 would be assigned 5 tactical air observers, artillery regiment headquarters, 1 gunnery air observer, and each battalion 2 gunnery air observers. Best results are obtained by maintaining 1 division tactical observer and at least 2 gunnery observers on station during daylight hours. In addition, Corps will require 1 or more tactical and 2 or more gunnery observers on station at the same time. Night observation will generally require 1 or more observers on call or on station for the Heckler-type mission. Observation aircraft over enemy lines at night often silence artillery fire and hamper enemy troop and transportation movement. Observation for tactical purposes at night is limited. The observer can spot enemy fire by the flash of guns and direct the operation of neutralizing fires. Air observers may be assigned for naval gunfire spotting. For such duty, they are placed in a gunnery pool for assignment to various ships. This temporary organization is necessary so that various divisions are not depleted of their normal complement of observers. All observers are given a briefing for the entire operation before embarkation for the target area. At that time, they're given the latest information concerning the objectives, the terrain, civilian population, enemy forces, and the contemplated plan of action. Before returning to their carriers, the observers are briefed by the division staff and the air officer, the naval gunfire officer, and the ATI officer. As soon as observation aircraft are operating from a strip, the observers are briefed specifically for each mission they fly. The appropriate staff officer gives the observer the latest information, both verbally and in a written briefing form. When the air observer is on station, he communicates primarily by voice radio. The tactical observer over the tactical air observation net, and the gunnery observer over the artillery air spot net. Should radio fail to function, communication can be continued by panels, flashing lights, pyrotechnics, prearranged maneuvering of the aircraft, and message drop and pickup. This last method is also used to supplement voice reports, or when the observer wishes to get sketches, overlays, or photographs to the command post quickly. Although most requirements of tactical and air gunnery observation missions are met by visual observation, handheld cameras are normally carried. These are capable of making high oblique, low oblique, and approximate vertical photographs. When on station, the air observer is in a position to report information to commanders long before it can be procured from any other source. Specifically, the mission of the tactical air observer is to procure and report information on the enemy, including the location of artillery, mortar, and other weapons positions, the location of pillboxes, blockhouses, entrenchments, and other obstacles, enemy lines of defense and troop concentrations, the movement and location of enemy vehicles, and other information of a similar nature. He reports on the current situation of friendly ground troops, the location of their front lines, location of tank and reconnaissance units, the movement of patrols and separate units, and the general progress of the attack. The tactical air observer checks enemy terrain and reports on roads, avenues of advance, deviations between map and ground, and map correction. Over water, he transmits information of friendly surface craft, including detailed reports on the progress of boat waves and the movement of support craft and larger ships. Hydrographic reports on reefs and shorelines, obstacles and mines. The condition of beaches and surf. When directed by the tactical air controller, the air observer will designate targets for the air coordinator. In addition to their other duties, tactical observers perform utility missions, such as cargo parachute drops in emergencies when air delivery units are not available. They may also be employed in cases of necessity for wire laying missions. Apart from missions flown in battle, during periods of occupation, observers can be used as airborne points for convoys. To observe rail movement, checking lines for breaks or possible sabotage, and to serve as airborne radio relay points for foot or motor patrols. Air observers also fly officer messenger missions, the transmission of classified documents. Although tactical air observers and gunnery air observers are so trained they can fly interchangeable missions, the specific missions of the gunnery air observer in battle are registration upon base points and checkpoints for corrections and transfer data, adjustment of fire upon assigned targets and targets of opportunity, surveillance of prearranged fires of all types, and cover missions which deny the enemy the use of much of his firepower for fear of revealing his gun positions. Often, the gunnery air observer sees need for naval fire. In that event, he is assigned a ship, usually a cruiser or destroyer. The reports transmitted by observers in the air are necessarily brief, but as soon as he lands, the observer proceeds to an interrogation session with whatever amplifying material he may have. Whenever possible, the pilot accompanies the observer to the command post. A well-briefed pilot is able to aid the observer in amplifying this report. Tactical and gunnery air observation is a flexible weapon which has many uses in an operation.